Fine. Let's have another madness discussion about the Stanley Cup and the whole world of jinxes. So, I do the madness video where I'm talking about upsets in the first round, and everybody gets focused on the fact there used to be 6 divisions, and I'm talking about it with 4, where I'm talking about top 2 seeds and division winners, and division winners don't get knocked out. People are like, yes, they did. They got knocked out. There were 4 knocked out. There were 6 divisions, so it's easier to knock out 4 division winners when there's 6 teams, and yet it's also easier to find a cup winner when there's 6 teams and when they're division. And there's a reason we went from six division winners to 4, because there were always at least 1, maybe 2 that you would look at and go, well, yeah, they won their division, but they really shouldn't have, and they had less points than that team over there that finished 4th or 5th in the conference, and they probably shouldn't have. We will have this argument forever. It's just like anybody who wants to say, well, Colorado shouldn't have been in the playoffs this year. You know what? Colorado was in the playoffs this year. The Montreal Canadiens did not play a Western Conference schedule. Until we have a situation where every single team plays the exact same schedule, there has to be some kind of differentiation between who makes the playoffs and who doesn't. And it's easy to say, well, this team had more points, so they're better. The reality is scheduling makes a big difference, and some divisions are stronger than others. And when I tried to talk about that a couple weeks ago again, it's difficult. Now, when you look at division winners, and we look at last year was strange. Tampa Bay makes it to round 3. Washington wins the Stanley Cup. Nashville makes it to round 2, gets knocked out by Winnipeg, who are only 1 point behind them anyways for that President's Trophy. And Vegas is a finalist. So all of the top seeds did pretty darn well last year. 2017, a little bit different. Top seeds, Montreal's out in round 1. The Capitals out in round 2 because of Pittsburgh. Chicago's out in round 1, Nashville, and Anaheim makes it all the way to round 3. So Anaheim bowled their way through in 2017, and since then it's been a little bit more of a mixed bag for them. 2016, Florida wins their division. They're out in the first round against the Islanders. The Capitals, Pittsburgh runs them out in the second round. Dallas gets run out in the second round by St. Louis. And Nashville upsets Anaheim in the first round. So you get 2 first-round exits, 2 second-round exits. So nobody even in the finals, 2017 and 2016, who win their division. 2015, Montreal wins their division. They go out in round 2. The Rangers go out in round 3 that year. 2015 sees St. Louis out in round 1 and Anaheim out in round 3. So no finalists that year either. 2014, Boston wins their division. They're out in round 2. Pittsburgh wins their division. They're out in round 2. Colorado, they're out in round 1, and Anaheim's out in round 2. So that year, no division winner gets past round 2, same as 2016. So what's going on here? Well, this is the last year after, or this is the furthest back we go before we get to 6 divisions. Sometimes those rivalries, those divisional matchups, you end up with a lot of upsets. And this, I think, was part of the idea the NHL had behind going to 4 divisions and going to divisional playoffs. And whether you agree with or you don't agree with how the playoff seeding is done, this is kind of what it's designed to do. And I'm guessing if Toronto completes the upset and beats Boston tomorrow, Toronto fans will feel a lot better about having played Boston in the first round. And that's kind of how it works, too. Especially when you look at the fact that they would play Columbus in the second round, they'd have home ice. All of a sudden, the playoff picture looks a whole lot rosier. Now, when we go back to 6 divisions, well, round 3 is where Pittsburgh gets knocked out in 2013. Round 1 for both Montreal and Washington. The Stanley Cup is waiting for Chicago. Round 1 is where Anaheim gets knocked out and Vancouver. So it's interesting because Chicago goes to the Stanley Cup. They were the first team on this board back to 2013, other than the 2018 win for Washington. And yet, when you look at the league when there were 6 divisions, division winners were more likely to win the Stanley Cup just by pure numbers. But 4 first-round upsets in 2013. The teams that survived that first-round purge, Pittsburgh and Chicago, had pretty decent runs. 2012, the Rangers win the division. They go to the third round. Boston wins the division. They're out in the first round. Florida wins the division. They're out in the first round. That's a Florida thing. They've done it twice on this board. Vancouver, first round after winning the division and the President's Trophy and all of that. Second round for St. Louis. Second round for Phoenix. So 3 of them out in the first round that year out of 6. So half. So maybe instead of doing what I did earlier, I should have gone by percentages. Percentages of division winners who've gone out in the first round, in which case this year is truly remarkable. But I also think winning your division means more now, since they went to 4 divisions, than it did when there was 6. There were definitely lesser teams that won their divisions. 2011, round 2 for the Caps. Round 2 for Philadelphia, a Stanley Cup for Boston. Finalists for Vancouver, round 3 for San Jose, and round 2 for Detroit. That was a year where it kind of went the way it was supposed to. And you can look and say, well, the division winners were the best teams in the league that year. All 6 had pretty decent playoff results. 2010, I know Capitals fans won't agree. 2010, the Capitals go out in the first round. The Devils go out in the first round. Buffalo goes out in the first round. It is the Red Wedding in the East that year. San Jose out in round 3. Chicago wins the Stanley Cup, and Vancouver, of course, out in round 2 against Chicago. I don't even watch Game of Thrones, but I know what that means. So it was a good year for the Western teams, bad year for the Eastern teams. And, of course, the Capitals had a tremendous run, and Montreal Canadiens decided to have a pretty solid run of their own. 2009, Boston's out in round 2. Boston, they had that Stanley Cup win, but how many times other than that are they on the board and they get knocked out early? Round 2 for the Capitals, round 1 for the Devils. The Devils, not a tremendous record when they win their division either. Round 1 for San Jose. Detroit's a finalist. Of course, they lost to Pittsburgh that year. Round 2 for Vancouver. 2008, it's round 2 for the Montreal Canadiens. Finalist run for the Pittsburgh Penguins. Round 1 for the Capitals. Detroit wins the Stanley Cup. So this is one of those rare occasions, this 2011, 2018, where you see division winners as cup winner and finalist. Round 2 for San Jose and round 1 for the Minnesota Wild. 2007, yeah, I'm going back further than the last one. I'm going all the way back to after the last lockout. 2007, Buffalo's out in round 3. New Jersey's out in round 2. That's a Winnipeg logo, but of course that was the Atlanta Thrashers. They were out in round 1 that year. That is, to this date, the only time that organization has won their division. And people will tell you it's because that division was kind of weak. And they're right. They got swept in the first round that year. Detroit, round 3. Anaheim, of course, won the Stanley Cup over Vancouver in round 2. They didn't win the Stanley Cup against Vancouver. They won it over the Ottawa Senators, who did not win their division that year, but knocked a couple of these teams out. And Vancouver, second round loss to Anaheim was completely predictable, for me anyways. You got Niedermayer, you got Pronger, you win. 2006, as far back as this goes, Ottawa out in round 2. Carolina wins the Stanley Cup. Again, Southeast Division, so people complain about its strength. New Jersey out in round 2. In the West, all 3 out in round 1. Detroit, Dallas, and Calgary. So Calgary on the board there, winning their division and out in round 1. 2019, they win their division for the first time since 2006. And it's like they rhyme because we're out in round 1. And of course, after the 2019 first round, I'll have a whole other way of looking at this. Now, when you look at the overall numbers, a round 1 exit 24 times for division winners. Round 2 exit 23 times. Round 3, and of course, these are going to be lower numbers because there's fewer third round series. 10 times Stanley Cup finalist. 4, Cup winner. 7 out of 13 seasons, you get Cup winners from the division. However, since we went to the 4 division matchups, since we went to 4 division winners, it's been 6 first round exits, 8 second round exits, 4 in the third round, 1 finalist, Vegas, and 1 Cup winner, Capitals. Outside of that, yeah, they get knocked out in the first or second round a lot. If you win your division, the bad news is you're playing against teams that know you. And I think that's part of what's been going on. Columbus didn't really know Tampa. They played them 3 times, scouted them pretty well. Colorado and Calgary, you could say the same, but in a lot of these cases, it's divisional rivalries that ended. And again, in this day and age, it's like the difference between the team at the top and the team that finishes in that last place for that playoff spot. It seems to get smaller and smaller. Still, 2006, 3 first-round exits. So there you go. Hopefully this makes up for my misspeak in the previous Madness video. This is over 10 minutes, so it qualifies as a Madness video. People who want to take a look at the time say, oh, your Madness videos need to be longer. Hey, during the off season, absolutely. This whole board fills up with magnets. But I thought this was kind of a fun thing to look at too, and realize winning the Stanley Cup, winning your division, it doesn't really happen that often. It happened last year with Washington. Maybe that is the reason why everybody went, Tampa's going to win it. But you look, 2017, 2016, 2015, 2014, since we went to the 4-division system, there really hasn't been a division winner other than Washington that you can look at and say, yeah, fantastic run. You could say it about Vegas last year as well, but people don't want to talk about Vegas. Anyways, there you go. Let me know your thoughts in the comment section below on how historic this kind of feels. Because again, that's why this is up here, and also to kind of correct what I was talking about earlier. Yeah, there were 6 division winners in 2013, so the odds of having more of them fall out increases. Just that's how that math goes. Anyways, thank you guys so much for watching. Don't forget to hit like and subscribe if you're browsing your way through. You just happened upon this video, and hey, thank you guys so much for watching. I'll talk to you again soon.